Please note that today's hearing is being live streamed on YouTube as part of a 6-month pilot project. Welcome. In accordance with Section 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment for the City of Toronto is called to order. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for minor variances from the provisions of the zoning bylaw, permissions to extend or alter lawful non-conforming uses, and consents to create new lots. Hearing procedure. To ensure a fair and timely hearing, I will vet the agenda to determine which applications can be dealt with immediately and which applications require a more in-depth review. I will call each item in the order listed on the agenda and ask if anyone other than the agent or the applicant is present in interest and wishes to address the committee. If there are people in interest, the matter will be held until all non-contested items have been dealt with from the agenda. If your item is held, we strongly recommend you to step aside and meet with the interested parties in an effort to resolve any concerns of issues. If no person is present in interest, the agent or applicant will proceed with the presentation if required. The committee may ask questions and or take the matter into the committee for a decision. Making your submissions. Each speaker, including the applicant or agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. When addressing the committee, please come forward to the podium, clearly state your name and address, and file decision request card so that we have correct information for our records. So the decision request cards are available at the end of this horseshoe. If you have a written submission that you read from, please hand it in to Deputy Secretary Treasurer when you are done, who is seated on my right. First, the applicant or agent will make a presentation to the committee of the application as submitted. Then individuals, either in support or opposed to the application, will be allowed to speak. If there are several speakers sharing the same view, please select a spokesperson to present the group's opinion. We want to hear your views. However, covering the same points will not advance your cause. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker at the end of their submission. When all speakers are finished, the applicant has an opportunity to rebut only the related issues that were raised. The matter will then be taken into the committee for a decision. This will mark the end of all discussion. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. The decision. If you do not agree with the committee's decision, you might file an appeal. Almost all appeals will be dealt with by a new tribunal called the Toronto Local Appeal Body, or TLAB. For more information on TLAB, please visit their website or the C of A website. Appeal instructions will be included at the bottom of every decision. In order to receive a copy of the committee's decision and to be informed of all appeal procedures, you must fill out the decision request card referred to earlier. Please include your email, as the TLAB will be sending notifications of appeal updates by email. Please leave your completed form with the Deputy Secretary Treasurer or member of her staff before leaving today. Decisions will be mailed within 3 business days. Okay, so now we move forward with confirmation of the last meeting minutes. Panel members?
I so move confirmation.
Okay. So a motion to adopt the minutes has been moved by Mr. Russell, seconded by Mr. Carlson. All in favor? Okay, so the minutes have been adopted. Are there any declaration of interest at this time?
No.
No, madam.
Okay. Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, are there any files to be closed today?
Yes, Madam Chair, there are 2. One is in the later time slot. I don't know if you want to wait until then to close it, or if you want to do it.
I think we just do it now.
Do it now? Okay, so the first one is for application A0817/17TEY was deferred on November 22nd, 2017, and the applicant has sent us a letter saying they no longer wish to proceed, so they would not be entitled to a refund. And then item number,
Sorry, was that item number 30?
No, this is a different application that needs to be closed. And then today, item number 30, the applicant has requested to withdraw the application. That's for 48 Riverdale Avenue to be heard at 2:30 p.m. Application A1274/17TEY. And again, they would not be entitled to a refund under our refund policy.
Okay, so panel members?
Through you, Madam Chair, I move a motion to accept the withdrawals with no refund of the application fees.
Okay, so a motion to close these files have been moved by Ms. Hayes. Do we have a second there? Second, Mr. Russell, all in favor? Okay, so the items have been closed.
Thank you.
So just to note, please note that the committee will not be entertaining any extensive revisions at the hearing today. If you have any extensive revisions, the items will be deferred to ensure that revisions are accurate and that all interested parties are informed of the changes. So now I'll vet the agenda for the morning time slot. Okay, item number 1, 66 Kenilworth Avenue. Do we have the agent or applicant here? Any interested parties? Item number 2, 17 Ellsdale Avenue, Road. Agent or applicant? Any interested parties? You can please sit down. We're still vetting the agenda. Item number 4, 37 Frater Avenue. Agent or applicant? Any interested parties? Item number 5, 101 Glen Davis Crescent. Agent or applicant? Any interested parties? Item number 6, 67 Rose Park Drive. Agent or applicant? Any interested parties? Okay, so... sorry, if the agent can put up their hand again. So if, and interested parties, so if you can please step outside to deal with any outstanding issues. Item number 7, 104 Neville Park Boulevard, agent applicant, any interested parties? Item number 8, 150 Cottingham Street, agent applicant, okay, any interested parties? Item number 9, 40 Kippen-Davy Avenue, agent applicant. Item number 9, 40 Kippen-Davy Avenue. Nope. Okay, so we'll just hold it down for now. Okay, item number 10, 120 Sunnyside Avenue, agent applicant. Any interested parties? Item number 11, 241 Booth Avenue, agent applicant. Any interested parties? Item number 12, 52 Fernwood Park Avenue, agent applicant. Any interested parties? Item number 13, 173 Manning Avenue, agent applicant. Any interested parties? Item number 14. Oh, sorry. Oh, there's no. Okay. So if the agent can put up their hand again, and I'm sure. Did you see the agent? Yeah. No. They're on my left. Okay, so if you can also step outside to resolve any outstanding issues. Item number 14, 79 Eden Avenue, agent applicant. Any interested parties? Okay, so there's interested party right there. Okay, so also if you can please step outside. Item number 15, 129 Yardley Avenue, agent applicant. Okay, any interested parties? Item number 1698 Argyle Street, agent applicant. Item number 1698 Argyle Street. Agents here. Oh, okay. Oh, I see. Okay. Any interested parties? Okay. Item number 20, 645 Carlaw Avenue, agent applicant. Any interested parties? Item number 28, 48 Glen Eyre Road, agent applicant. Any interested parties? Okay, so we'll proceed with item number 1, 66 Kenilworth Avenue. So before you proceed, the committee has in front of us a staff report from Transportation Services. We also have correspondence in opposition from owners on Waverly, Kenilworth, and Kenilworth. Okay, if you can please introduce yourself and your address.
Morning, Jay Smith. I'm the agent for 66 Kenilworth Avenue.
Panel members, would you like a presentation or proceed with the application?
I just have some questions.
Okay, so we'll just proceed with questions.
I know that one of the variances you're requesting is with respect to the size of the units, and they're undersized.
That's right.
Do you have any other examples of other units in the area that have had approval of units the size that you're requesting?
I don't. I looked. There aren't any in that immediate area within the 500-meter circle. All of the units are one bedroom. They are small. We recognize that. The owner bought the property 3 years ago. I have a copy of the MPAC report that listed it as a triplex at the time. Unfortunately, it was not a legal triplex. So now the owner is trying to make it legal. So all of the conditions are existing and have been for quite some time.
And And what's your current parking situation?
We have a legal parking pad. The transportation report lists that. So we do have a parking space on the property, but because it's not entirely on the property, we need a variance for it. But there is a legal parking pad in place.
Okay.
What you said is a transportation report?
Yeah, you have a copy of the transportation report that does list that the parking pad is in place.
When did you build this building?
The owner bought it 3 years ago. It was already converted to a triplex 3 years ago. So it's been that way for some time, and it's been rented that way for a number of years.
You had a compliance issue with it, right?
Yeah, we have to get it up to a legal triplex. Unfortunately, it's a single-family dwelling that was converted and never made legal.
On your variance, the second variance in the 43886, you're looking for GFA of 1.04, which is that what's there?
Yeah, we're not adding anything to the building. It is what's there. Without the basement, we're at 0.74. We also checked, and 49 Wheeler, 46 Ludi, 56 Waverly are either 1.06 or 1.08. 122 Kenilworth is 0.994, and those are without the basement. So we're at 0.74 with the ground and second floor, and 1.04 with the basement. And we are not adding anything to the structure. We're simply trying to make the existing conditions legal.
Those are my questions.
No more questions? Do we have discussion? Okay, Mr. Carlson?
Average dwelling unit size aside, this application is extremely minor and the existing condition is clearly working. I am prepared to move approval of this application as it represents appropriate development of the site.
Okay, so a motion to approve this variance application has been moved by Mr. Carlson. Do you have a second there?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Hayes, all in favor? So the application has been approved. Thank you. Okay, item number 2, 17 Elmsdale Road. Okay, so the committee has in front of us plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. We have a staff report from city planning, and then we have correspondence and support from 14 Elmsdale Road. Okay, if you can please introduce yourself and your address.
Good morning, Robert Douglas, 17 Elmsdale Road, owner and occupant.
Okay, panel members, would you like a presentation? No? Okay, we'll proceed with questions.
You have seen the planning report?
Yes,
You're happy with the condition?
I will accept it. I'm not sure why it's there, but
You need to satisfy yourself that it's something you're accepting.
So I believe the condition is there to make sure that the lot development happens on the garage rather than the house. Just specify exactly what is being developed.
all right.
Okay, any other questions, discussion, a motion?
I'd be prepared to make a motion if
Okay.
no one has any other questions. Through you, Madam Chair, having reviewed the application, the materials on file, I would, it's my thought that the application is indeed minor and meets the 4 tests on the Planning Act, subject to the conditions outlined in the planning report dated April the 24th.
Okay, a motion to approve has, with outlined conditions in the planning report, has been moved by Ms. Hayes. Do we have a seconder? Second by Mr. Carlson. All in favor? So the application has been approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 4, 37 Frater Avenue. Okay, so the committee has in front of us plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. We have a staff report from Forestry, and then we have a number of letters of opposition from Frater and Waverly. And then we have 8 letters, form letters in opposition from a number of individuals on Frater as well as Salmon Avenue. Okay, if you can please introduce yourself and your address.
Good morning, Madam Chair. My name is Marco Vieira. I'm the agent and the designer for this project.
Okay, panel members, would you like a presentation?
Yeah, I need.
Okay, we'll take a 5-minute presentation.
So the application before you is to demolish the existing 1-story detached dwelling and construct a new 2-story detached dwelling Our proposal is to replace the existing single-family dwelling, and in our new proposal, we are relocating the house inward, so giving it a little bit more setbacks or a buffer between the two adjacent properties. If you like, I can put up a site plan. So you'll see that we are actually increasing the existing side yard setbacks on both sides of the dwelling. We are also shifting it a little bit back, more in line with the main structure of the two adjacent properties, even though we do not comply with the minimum front yard setback. And pushing it further back would just reduce the use of the backyard. And also there's some mature trees in the back that we intend on keeping. The proposed size of the dwelling in terms of GFA or FSI, we're 1.3 meters over what the bylaw permits. We find that is minor, and it is in keeping with the area. Together with the lot coverage that we are proposing at 41%. Now, I understand that some of the opposition relates to wall height and building height of this building. Now, the portion for wall height, it is to a small portion in the front and back of the dwelling. And I'll show you on the side elevation. So you can see on the side elevation that 8.79 is taken to a small portion above the front door, which we're just creating a parapet to wrap it back. It's approximately 1.8 meters extending to the side along the front, and the back portion that covers part of the existing or the proposed balcony on the first floor. It extends 1.2 meters to the side. The remaining part of the dwelling is at 8.21 meters, which is more in keeping with what the bylaw requests. The deck in the back, it's a small landing. Then we have a series of steps that come down. The variance for the deck projection is actually including those stairs. So we find that it's minor. It's not a deck that we are going to have parties at, I guess, or hold a large amount of people. It is more just to permit the access down to grade so that patio could then be created at a grade level and not be up high and creating privacy issues to adjacent properties. We believe that given the lot size and within the restrictions in the width and depth, that our proposal is in keeping with the character of the neighborhood. A lot of houses on Holbrook and adjacent streets have the similar look of having the garage in the front, the 3 stories high, and the height of the first floor is really to accommodate the small 1-car garage at the front. And we believe that it's an area that is transitioning, it's changing, and our proposal does meet the 4 tests.
Okay. Panel members? Yep.
Yes, the height, is there anything you can do about the height? You're moving the building 1.21 meters higher than required under the bylaw.
Yes, and we really can't do anything with the height because the first entrance to that garage, it's at the minimum height to allow a 7-foot door to basically access that garage. And the second floor is already at 8 feet in height. So we feel that we're not trying to build a house that is trying to tower over adjacent properties or try to get the typical 10-foot, 9-foot ceiling heights. We're conscious of that, and we've reduced it to keep it at 8 feet on the second floor, 9 on the second floor, and for that reason we think that it's basically designed to maximize the potential for the house, keeping in mind that we are overbid in height, but that height restriction, it's so low that it really creates an impasse in trying to design or redevelop that lot.
What about variance number 4? You're looking for your height you're seeking for above the established grade is twice the amount required by under the bylaw.
Yes, that height number 4, that's because it's taken to the first floor. So we are creating a landing, which we have about 5-6 steps in the front, which that entrance to the main part of the dwelling is in line with the adjacent properties. That's where it's going to appear to be the first floor. The additional height is because of the single-car garage at the front of the dwelling.
Can you give us some examples of other things in the area that have the same heights as you're requesting for front, rear yard and overall front and rear wall?
Okay.
And overall height, please?
And also if you can cover the lot coverage as well, those examples if you have that.
These are a series of houses that have similar characteristics. The two to the left have flat roof designs as part of the homes. The ones or the bottom of the page are 3 stories in height. They have a portion that is a sloped roof in the front. The back is a flat roof. Ours is not. Ours is,
Holborn in relation to?
it's 3 streets up from Frater Avenue, I believe. There's also Barker.
Okay.
And that one there is 1 street, I believe, just north of our property. Actually, 2 streets. Woodmount also has a corner development in which has the similar height, straight facade along the front.
What's the height of those, though? I see from a design perspective.
So some of the houses, they vary from, so at Holborn, those are 9.24 meters in height. They were asking for 81% FSI and 42% coverage. We're actually lower than that. The one on Mortimer, I don't actually have a picture of it, but that's at 616 Mortimer. That was approved at 9.4 meters in height. On our street further down at number 89, lot coverage was approved for 47% at 83% FSI. And there was an application that was refused because of height, and not because that height extended over the whole portion of the dwelling. And we feel that the wall height to ours, it just restricts it to a small portion of the front and back from in terms of a design point of view, and then the rest of the dwelling is much lower, actually 2 foot lower than what we are proposing in terms of height. That's why we feel that in terms of the design of this house, that it actually integrates well into the changing neighborhood.
On that street, there's no other ones that's going for the height you're looking for?
On which street, sorry?
Street that,
Frater.
Crater.
On Frater, no.
Yeah.
We're the first one doing one there. And that's why there's nothing to compare it to. There's similar coverage in FSI, but not in terms of a new development for a new detached dwelling. On the surrounding areas, there's many, extending to Barker, Cedarvale, Frater, Glenmount, but on that particular stretch of Frater, we're the first.
Any other questions?
No.
No? Discussion?
I can understand the development that you're looking for. It seems to me that there is a problem with the character that this development will set up in the neighborhood, and we have lots of community opposition to this particular application. I'm not too sure. I'm confused about this application. There's some height issues and some other issues that has to be dealt with. I think he needs to work a lot more with his neighbors.
I agree this has some issues, but on balance, I actually do support the application. That particularly the total building height is a concern, but we've heard that this is existing in the general area. I mean, the houses are presented are not in the same block, but I would say are representative of the character of the area. And a good deal of what's happening here seems to reflect the intention to include a garage, which one might argue about the desirability of, but the bylaw seeks it.
And also there's a number of 2 stories on that street, even though they weren't mentioned by new, it seemed fairly new developments with integral garages as well. Okay, any other comments? Okay, do we have a motion?
Through you, Madam Chair, I would move to approve the application, as I believe the materials before us and the submissions from the applicant have demonstrated that what is being proposed is not out of character in the neighborhood, although it may be new to the street, and I believe it meets the tests under the Planning Act.
Does that include the forestry condition?
Yes.
Okay, a motion to approve has been moved by Ms. Hayes, including the forestry condition. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Carlson. All in favor? Okay, so the application has been approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 5, 101 Glen Davis Crescent. So the committee has in front of us a survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. We also have a staff report from Urban Forestry and TRCA, as well as letter from Councillor Kristen Wong-Tan requesting deferral. Okay, so if you can please introduce yourself. Okay, apologize for that. That's for a different item. If you can please introduce yourself and your address.
Absolutely. My name is Joel Tanner, authorized representative for the client, Simple Design Studio, 97 James Street North in Hamilton.
Okay. Panel members, would you like a presentation from George? Okay, questions?
No questions.
No? Okay, a motion then?
Through you, Madam Chair, I believe that the application as proposed is appropriate and certainly meets the character of this particular street and the area, and I move to approve it, subject to the standard TRCA condition.
Okay, so a motion to approve the condition has been moved by Ms. Hayes. Do we have a seconder?
Second.
Second by Mr. Russell. All in favor? The application has been approved. Thank you.
So much, committee. Have a great day.
Okay, so item 4 has been held. So item 7, 104 Neville.
6. Oh, 6. Said 4.
4 is wrong time slot on your list. 6 is held, 7 is next.
Sorry, number 7. So we're proceeding number 7, 104 Neville Park Boulevard.
Rhino Hoyer, agent for the applicant, 104 Neville Park.
Okay, just 1 second. Okay, so we have in front of us plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, and we also have email correspondence from Ravine Natural Features Protection. Okay, panel members, do we need a presentation? Over a 3rd floor deck. Okay.
I just need to find out from Mr. What's his name?
Pardon?
Name?
So if you can.
Rhino Hoyer,
Last name?
REINER HOYER.
Okay.
Why do you need a platform of 14.2 meters when the required bylaw requirement is 4 meters square?
Just to have some more outdoor space of the master bedroom to place some chairs and have, some leisure space to enjoy the view.
Can't you make it smaller?
That's the client's request. There's similar 3rd floor decks. There's one on 121 Balsam, which is just a couple of streets over, exactly the same, and actually a larger size.
Sorry, what address was that?
Balsam.
And is that large as what you're proposing, or larger?
It's larger.
So has this already been constructed?
The roof is there, but not as a deck.
Do you have any examples from the street of such large decks?
Nothing from the streets, but we consulted all the neighbors, and they are fine with it. There's no opposition.
How many other houses with decks are there in this particular area in Neville Park Boulevard?
It's hard to say because a lot of them from the ground you can't really see that these roof decks are up there, but it's a very common building style when people have third floor master en suites that they have a roof deck.
Committee?
Okay, any other questions, discussion, a motion?
I'm prepared to move for refusal of this application. Honestly, there may be some precedent for it in the area, but I think we've been quite clear, and the intention of council is clear that this is not direction that we want to be going. This is more than 3 times permissible size. I cannot approve of this in its current form.
Any other discussion?
I think that's your assessment. This is quite excessive. And the applicant is not prepared to do anything about it. It's quite excessive. And what we're deciding here is whether or not to grant this excessive application or to grant a domino effect. And so I'm not prepared to support a domino effect.
Do we have a motion then?
I will move approval of the application as I do not believe that it is minor in nature.
Approval?
Refusal.
Okay, a motion to refuse has been moved by Mr. Carlson. Do we have a seconder?
Second.
Second by Mr. Russell. All in favor? Okay, dissent, Ms. Hayes. So the motion, the application has been refused.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, item number 8, 150 Cottingham Street. So the committee has in front of us plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, and then we have 3 letters in support from occupants or owners on Cottingham Street. Okay, if you can please introduce yourself.
Good morning, my name is Darren Smith. I'm the agent for the owners.
Okay, panel members, would you like a presentation or questions? Okay, let's just go directly into questions.
Is there any opportunity to improve upon the 0% soft landscaping?
Absolutely. It's a patio right now and a detached garage. It's all existing conditions. There is some gardens back there, but it's kind of hard to make a calculation. But yes, we can definitely improve that for sure.
Do you have a number for us that you can improve it in terms of the current situation, like in terms of percentage?
Are you saying it's 0% now?
Well, it's hard. There's a laneway at the back of the property. So the very back of the property is a gravel driveway. Then there's the detached garage with a walkway to the side of it. And then the very rear of that, between the detached garage and the house, is a interlock patio. There is some garden right up against the garage. There is some garden along the property lines. It might be a couple percent. I'm sure that we can add some more greenery to the front of the garage, between the garage and the laneway. And I'm certainly sure we can put some landscaping up against the new addition at the back as well.
Do you feel comfortable giving us a percentage of greenery that you could potentially add to the lot?
It's hard to say, but I'm sure I could probably talk to my client about adding 10 or 15% landscape greenery or whatever's suitable.
Okay. Do you know how much that would be in meters squared?
I don't, unfortunately. I mean, if the variance list does stipulate the area.
So you would be confident in being able to say 10%?
Yes.
Seven, 7.80.
There's 78 square meters of backyard space, so I'm sure that we can add 7 to 10 square meters of.
Are you revising your application then?
Revising the application for variance number 1 under bylaw 569/2013.
Can that be revised here?
Yes.
Yes,
So 10%, so around 7 meters squared?
that's good.
Okay. Any other questions, panel members? It's just to confirm, the application has been amended.
Yes.
Variance number 1 under bylaw 569/2013, it would read now 10, in this case, 10% or 7 meters squared would provide us soft landscaping in the rear.
7.8 meters square.
7.8?
Yes, 10%.
Okay, panel members?
If there's no discussion, I'm prepared to make a motion.
Okay.
I'm prepared to move a motion, Madam Chair, based on the amendment to the application to increase this variance number 1 on 569/2013 to 10% or 7.8 meters squared. I'm prepared that based on that amendment, that the application is minor is appropriate and meets the tests under the Planning Act.
Okay, so a motion to approve the amended application has been moved by Ms. Hayes. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Carlson. All in favor? So the application has been approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so do we have the agent for item number 9? 40, pardon me?
Chair does not vote,
What do you mean you don't? I don't vote.
because you create a tie if you're going to vote.
Sorry, but are we all in favor of this application?
Okay.
Just to confirm, are we all in favor, Mr. Russell? Okay. Item number 9, 40 Kipendavy Avenue, so you're the agent, right?
George Stavros.
Okay, do we have any interested parties that might have come late? No? Okay, so just 1 second. So the committee has in front of us plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, and then we have 1 letter in opposition from 38 Kipendavy Avenue. Okay, panel members, a presentation or discussion?
I think we can go to.
Questions, sorry.
or Discussion.
Okay, questions, Mr. Wilson?
Yeah, is Mr. Tim the homeowner?
Okay,
Hi.
hi. But we'll just have 1 person speak,
Okay.
unless there's questions.
I actually.
No, stay here.
Okay, do we have any questions? Okay, no questions, discussion?
This is a simple application appropriate to the area. The variance itself is minor in nature. I would move approval of the application.
Okay, a motion to approve has been moved by Mr. Carlson. Do we have a seconder? Second by Mr. Russell. All in favor? So the motion has been approved, or the application has been approved. Thank
Point
you.
of order, Mr. Russell is correct with a 4-member panel. It is better if the chair doesn't vote when we're all in the room. Avoids creating a tie, like, for the record, if you want to put up chair votes with committee maybe, but.
Sorry, can you just repeat that?
Sorry, what's the concern? The concern is that when the chair votes with a 4-member panel, it has the potential to create a tie.
But we were all in favor of that.
Yes, I mean, if, for the record, you want to, yes, it's permissible, but it's,
Okay.
the formality of it would generally be chair votes with panel, unless, it would be the phrase.
Good.
Rather than, anyway, yes,
Okay.
you're
If there is a tie, I will not vote, but
Yeah.
otherwise. Okay, item number 10, 120 Sunnyside Avenue. So the committee has in front of us plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations, and then we have 1 rendering of the south elevation, as well as we have a report from Transportation Services. If you can please introduce yourself and your address.
committee. My name is Gabriel Guiducci. I'm the designer and the agent of the owners of 120 Sunnyside.
Okay. Panel members, questions or presentation?
Are you aware of the comments from transportation?
I do. So I have a couple of notes that I'd like to bring up to your attention, including probably like just drive your attention to the existing condition of the existing garage, which was considered to be sort of rebuilt within the existence of it. As you can see, across from the lane and across from our garage, that's what our neighbor was able to do. In our case, we had a professional assessment of the existing structures. There's a retaining wall on sort of that's the east side and the north side of the garage that was not allowing us to maintain any of the existing structure. Practically and technically was sort of impossible. So that kind of threw us in a different aspect to the rebuild, and we ended up proposing a new construction. Now, when we get into new bylaws and whatnot, in this case in particular, we're not just looking at one particular variance, one particular comment as far as the widening of a laneway, which I'm not aware. I don't think anybody's aware of any widening programs in the city for laneways. There is a bylaw as far as the setback from the center line. There is a bylaw in respect to the rear yard. We're all aware of that. But I also like to put up this image showing you the outline of the existing structure. So the existing structure actually happened to be about I think 3 inches into the laneway. So we thought that, by rebuilding it and considering many other aspects within the site, the land shape, the existence of a tree, the existence of some existing structure, including decks and whatnot, and to somehow massage all those elements, including minimum requirements for parking width, this is what we sort of have were able to address. Now, this application was submitted back in November 2017. We received transportation comment on May 2nd. It's a little outrageous to some extent because we would have to go back to committee. We would have to go back to zoning if we were to move these proposed the 5 inches that the transportation is asking us to do. Reducing the size of the structure will probably make some conditions in the minimum size for parking garages, for parking spots, and will also alter our landscape variance, which is already touched as well as a minor variance. So we believe that our variances are, technical and minor in nature individually, but also we're looking at as a combination. As a site challenge, there's existing garages on that laneway that are built on the lane line, if not into the lane, just like ours used to be or is still. So we believe that there's a lot more improvements. That's kind of the way I like to look at it. All the improvements that we're looking at by also creating 2 official parking off the street. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the area, but it is very challenging to find parking in that area. And so those are the goals that we're going after. And hopefully the committee will consider so.
So, sir, Mr., you know that the city is working on laneway buildings and laneway parking and everything else, so that may happen sometime. And you may have to come back to us with another application to move if you didn't follow transportation's direction. So what do you do? What's your position then? You were here before us before in, I think, November?
I don't.
No?
No.
Okay. Why do you want the height at 4.51 meters when the maximum permitted height is 4 meters?
The way the bylaw reads, there's 2 bylaws obviously in effect, as you are aware of. The old bylaw used to take consideration of the lowest grade around the garage, around the structure. The new bylaw, which will be in effect hopefully soon and forever, and the only one, it actually considers the grade around the structure. So it's an average grade around the structure, and this is why we have such. So there's about I think there's about 5 feet different between one side of the garage and the other side. That's where the retaining walls sort of conditions were coming in, and then in the rebuilding the existing, it was just not feasible doing so. Everything was rotten. It was a wood foundation type construction. But yeah, the retaining wall has to be there, and the land is shaped sort of the way it is. That is something we can change. So in a nutshell, it's definition.
I was wondering if you did have more time in order to address the transportation services concern in terms of the laneway widening, would you be able to move the garage 2.5 meters from the center line?
My problem with moving the garage at this point is that the landscape variances will kick in, and there's other items that will be triggered. Now, we've been waiting. This application was in the city hands in September 2017, was in the Committee of Adjustments and in November 2017. I don't think we can wait any longer. We're willing to do what you think it's best. I'm looking at it as a whole. I'm not looking at it as a one item, and we're willing to do anything as long as it doesn't take us back to any further processing apart from building permit.
So the south elevation drawings that you've submitted show rendering that there's a double-car garage.
Right.
And there's also a doorway.
Right.
So the garage is wider than simply the double-car entranceway door, right? So would there be a problem with making the garage meet the requirements?
Well, there will be, because the minimum requirements of parking spaces is within the inside of it. It's not the outside of it. So 3.3 meters is what we require. We're actually showing a 2.95 per spot within the inside of the structure.
There's not a variance for parking space size?
No, there isn't.
So you're saying that to get the two, if the side walls came in, you'd then trigger a parking space variance? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not aware of that. I can't say what other variances I might trigger. I would have to go back to zoning. That's my point. And since November 2017, we didn't have enough time in the past week to get through, not even a week, to go back to zoning review and be here within a respectable time frame.
I was wondering if you can show us the previous photo, put on the projector as you did earlier. So it seems like the garage is behind your garage or your property owner's garage are a little bit set back from this photo.
Yeah, there's a tree in the laneway as well. There's several garages, including the garage across from us, is within the lane or right on the lane. So as far as the widening program, which it is not written anywhere at the moment. It will be very difficult for the city to widen this laneway. Not by one garage for 5 inches, that's all.
But even if there's the tree there, based on what Madam Chair just pointed out to you, the other garage is a setback, not that the tree stands there. There's a setback, you can see the visibility of a setback of the other garages, although there's a tree there. So why can't you set yours back? Why is transportation not correct in making their requirement?
What I'm trying to say here is that there is an improvement in the existing setback, right? And in comparison to what we have existing. Now, I can't speak for the other garages. I'm not sure if they were rebuilt properly, if the setbacks meet the requirements. I know and I'm aware of that the existing conditions of my garage and the garage across from me do not meet the 2.5 meter requirements by the bylaws. So in the development of this, we looked at many aspects of this. That's why we're here, and that's why there is minor variances. And I believe that variance is minor, and the proposal meets the 4 points.
Okay. Any other questions? Discussion?
Madam Chair, we have a professional report in front of us from transportation, and we have no justification from the agent about why we should not adopt this this professional report from transportation. Simply, even the visible that picture that the agent showed us, even showed us that other garages are off path that would have met the requirement of transportation. So I just want to point it out to the committee, you know, and then my position will be known in the vote.
Any other comments?
I would agree. I think that the requirement of the variances as set out in transportation is not something that can't be attained here, and I would like to, I feel that staff's position is important to consider.
Mr. Carlson?
We can put it as a condition.
Sorry, we're already in the
Sorry.
committee. Yeah.
No further comment. Same concerns as other members.
I mean, I agree, I have the same concerns, but I hear the agent's comment, the fact that the report was submitted quite late. I think if we were to, let's say, approve this application with the elimination of the 2 variances, then I do think it would probably have an impact on the soft landscaping. So from my perspective, I'll almost prefer to defer this application to the earliest hearing date because of the fact that the
Full hearing.
We're going to miss the season. I'd rather, can I speak?
No, you can't speak.
No, sorry.
Okay.
I'd rather get a condition.
You can.
And we'll deal with it. I'd rather get a condition by transportation, and I'll deal with it that way.
I would be prepared to approve the variances other than the variances that was outlined in the transportation report. Number three and number 2. If there's no other comments, I'd make a motion.
I mean, I am concerned that this will just end up back here, that eliminating those variances, I think, will likely trigger other issues.
Unless they lower the size of the garage.
Yeah.
Okay. So sorry, so Ms. Hayes, would you like? Sure.
Through you, Madam Chair, I'd like to move approval of amended application. Okay, so the wording, Madam Secretary?
Through you, Madam Chair, it would be you're refusing variances
okay.
3 and 2, and that the rest of the variances are approved.
Thank you. So,
No.
What about transportation condition?
There's no conditions.
No condition.
so,
I don't think so.
no. So through you, Madam Chair, I'd like to move to refuse variance number 3 under 569-2013 and variance number 2 under bylaw 43886 and approve the remainder of the variances, as I believe that would be appropriate and meet the tests under the Planning Act.
Okay, so a motion to refuse the 2 variances and approve refuse variance number 3 and number 2, and approve the other variances has been moved by Ms. Hayes. Do we have a second there? A motion fails, so I can't vote because
That's fine.
I'll create a tie. Do we have another motion?
I would move refusal of the application as I do not believe that the requested setback from the center line is an appropriate development for the site or desirable in nature.
Okay, a motion to refuse has been moved by Mr. Carlson. Do we have a seconder?
Seconded.
Second by Mr. Russell. All in favor? Okay, dissent.
No, you're creating a tie.
I can dissent though.
You're creating a tie.
Create a tie if you do that.
Oh, okay, so I'll abstain. Okay, so the application is refused. So we'll proceed with item number 11, 241 Booth Avenue. Okay, so the committee has in front of us plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. We have the cover letter from the agent, as well as we have 8 signature petition in support from owners on Logan Avenue, Colgate Avenue, and Booth Avenue. Okay, if you can please introduce yourself and your address.
My name is Carolyn Moss, Moss Sund Architects at 10A Busy Street.
Okay, panel members, would you like a presentation?
Yes.
Okay, so if you can please proceed with the presentation.
The proposal is for to demolish a one-story rear addition that's been badly damaged by termites and replace it with a 2-story rear addition. The addition's in line with the adjacent neighbor that we did some time ago with their second floor. It's to provide, they have 3 kids, it's to provide additional living space for the family. The variances, again, the length, it's to match the adjacent neighbor. The floor space index is in keeping with what's happening in the neighborhood, actually lower than many of the developments. And the minimum distance between main walls in those townhouses, they're very narrow, so it's sort of a technical variant.
Okay, panel members, do you have any questions?
Yes, the depth, you're looking at a depth of 3.48 meters. I want to know how does this align with the other properties on the street?
It aligns directly with the neighbor that's, so these houses, it's a long row, about 14 long, and as is typical with those kind of row houses, they narrow in at the back to create light into the dining room, so their adjacent neighbor at the full length, they're in line with, and we did, so that's 243, we did 253 Booth, it's at the same length. We did 263 Booth, which is actually a little bit longer, and 2 stories.
Okay. Panel members, any other question, discussion, a motion?
Through you, Madam Chair, giving the submissions we've received and submission from the applicant's representative that the depth is consistent with the neighboring property and others in the neighborhood, I would move to approve the application as it is appropriate and meets the 4 tests.
Okay, so a motion to approve has been moved by Ms. Hayes. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Carlson. All in favor? So the application has been approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 12, 52 Fernwood Park Avenue. The committee has in front of us plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. We have one rendering from 52 Fernwood Park. We also have the cover letter from the agent, and we have a staff report from Urban Forestry. Okay, if you can please introduce yourself and your address.
Hi, Madam Chair, Committee. My name is Vanessa Fong, architect and agent for the owner.
Okay, panel members, would you like a presentation?
Yes.
Okay, if we can please have a presentation.
Sure. So this is an existing multi-unit dwelling, which the new owners would like to turn into a single-family home. We are triggering 6 variances, a few of them in duplicate because of the 2 zoning bylaws. So 2 variances for FSI, where the permitted is 0.6, and we are asking for 0.83, which is an overage of 61.95 square meters. We are also asking for 2 variances for building depth, where allowable is 17, and we're asking for 0.48 meters over, and 2 variances for side lot line setbacks as well. One of those conditions is an existing condition because of the existing main walls to the north is already at 0.57 and the allowable is at 0.9.
Is that variance number 2 on the 438 F86?
Sorry, it is variance number, where is it? 4388663 part 2 3B2. Number 4 on our waiver, if that makes.
Number 2.
Oh, sorry.
Number 2 on the application.
Yes.
Okay. Questions?
Is there any way to alter this this requirement? You're looking for, like, it's a 40% change on the north side, from the north side.
On the north, the side lot setback?
Is there any way to alter it? No, let's change it.
Add to
So if we can please have silence in the room.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Yeah, is there any way to adjust that?
Adjust it. So the existing house already sits within the setback range. At the rear addition, it's a 3-meter addition to the back of the existing house. We want to align the main walls to the existing house. So that's why it's triggering that condition.
Okay,
as well.
thanks.
The FSI you're requesting, is there others at that level on that street?
We weren't able to really verify the existing house conditions in that area. We know that there have been multiple renovation projects similar in nature to this, where there are 3 stories occupied. So we would suspect that there are similar FSIs. The lot conditions also change quite a bit along Fernwood because the road kind of does an S-curve. So the lot sizes vary as well in that area.
So when you said similar developments, meaning the rare additions or just the top-ups, the 3rd story?
I think both. There are multiple houses in the area which have a 3rd floor usage, which a lot of the time is what triggers that overage in FSI, as well as, rear additions.
Okay. Panel members? No more questions? Discussion then, or a motion?
If there's no comments from my colleagues, through you, Madam Chair, having reviewed the applications and heard from the agent, I believe what is being proposed meets the character of the area and is appropriate, meets the requirements under the Planning Act. And I move for approval, subject to forestry condition number 1.
A motion to approve has been moved by Ms. Hayes, including a forestry condition. Do we have a seconder?
A second.
Mr. Russell seconded the motion. All in favor? Okay, so the application has been approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so item number 13 has been held. Item number 14 has been held. So we'll move forward to item number 15, which is 129 Yardley Avenue. So the committee has in front of us plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. We have correspondence in support from 138 Tiago Avenue, and then we have 3 form letters in support by various owners on Yardley Avenue. Okay, if you can please introduce yourself and your address.
Sure. Good morning. My name is Glenn Rubinoff. I'm the agent for the owner on this file. This is an application for a rear ground floor addition, a 2nd-story addition, and a new rear ground floor deck. Would you like a...
Panel members, would you like a presentation?
Yes, I need.
Okay, so we'll proceed with our presentation.
Okay. So this is I'll just show you a photo quickly of the... This is the existing house. My client purchased it with the intention to do an addition. One of the first items he did was eliminate the below-grade garage by raising it to a positive slope grade and building on top. These variances that are before you are related to the extension of the house, building the addition. Sorry, excuse me, building the addition in line. It's a It's an 11-foot addition in line with both sides. The overall gross floor area of the home is about 200 square meters, so it's not a large home. It is bordered on both sides by both properties on either side are much larger properties. Just to give you a that's helpful. As you can see from the addition, it doesn't go beyond the property on the top there. It's kind of an in-between fit. The idea is that it's a something to fit in. There is lot coverage variances or lot coverage variance under both bylaws. There is a height variance under the old and new bylaw. The nature of it is that it's a the elevation of the project is it's a flat roof. The neighbors have reviewed, both immediate neighbors have sent letters in. I do have a map here, which I would like to distribute to you if that's okay, and I can put it on the overhead as well.
If you can just put on the overhead, that'll be.
It's a little large, that's why I'm not.
Okay, sure, we'll pass around.
Okay, but I'll put it on the overhead. So the subject property is in the red. The green dots represent the neighbors in support. The yellow dots represent redevelopment in the street and in the area. There are variances that have been granted for similar terms of coverage, density, and whatnot, and also height. We have height approved in several cases around 9 meters. And that's why I wanted to hand this out, because it's difficult.
Okay, sure. Sorry, so the yellow ones are the redevelopment applications?
Okay,
that's what I will.
So the I'll just provide you with one other item, which is front elevation of the home. So as I mentioned, the garage itself, location is the same, but it's been raised up to be at grade garage. And there are several homes in the area of a similar style. The street behind Galbraith, there's a couple of homes which are have an integral garage.
Sorry, what are the addresses for these ones?
They're actually listed on here. 7981 Galbraith. 72 and 74 Galbraith. On Amsterdam, sorry, the overhead's kind of challenging for me to figure out. On Amsterdam, 76 and 78. So I have more, but I just don't want to go on because I know time's coming up. So.
The site's statistics on the yellow colored properties on Yardley, you haven't given us those. Are those, but they're shown as redeveloped. Were they lesser or needed no variances or lesser than being requested? Because you haven't.
Some of them were done quite a while ago, so we didn't go back that far in terms of the research request. We did a research request, and it's with really the last 3 years.
Okay.
So some of them are probably have been, but we didn't get the specifics.
But also quite larger lots, right?
They're also, generally, this is actually a pretty 25-foot lot in an area, most of them are 50-foot lots, or many of them are. And but again, overall, the density, while it seems high, is about 2,100 square feet, 200 square meters.
Okay, panel members, any other questions?
So the heights in that neighborhood.
Yes.
Do you have numbers for addresses for those heights that be 9 meters?
Yes, they're just on.
No,
I put the addresses.
On there.
Yeah.
1, 2.
Yeah. The height variation is because it's a flat roof, and I know that the OMB is reviewing that now because it was, the new bylaw has been challenged on that front, and there will be a new height bylaw being formulated at this point. But at this point, under the old bylaw, 8.5 meters was the standard.
Any other questions? Okay, no questions, discussion, or a motion?
The heights, there are some heights based on the map provided to us. There's some heights which are 9 meters, and there's also some heights which are more heights which are less than 9 meters. But generally, most of those are very large. They're much larger lots. Anyway, based on what's presented, I'm not too for or against at this time.
Okay. Any other discussion or a motion?
Motion to approve the application as I believe represents an appropriate development of the site. I do still have questions about the height, but I think it's within reason and that we have been presented evidence that it is a, if not common, a pre-existing feature of the neighborhood.
Okay, so a motion to approve has been moved by Mr. Carlson. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Hayes. All in favor? All in favor? Okay, the application has been approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so we move forward with item number 16, 98 Argyle Street. Okay, so the committee has in front of us plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. We have the cover letter from the applicant. We have a decision affecting the subject property, and then we have a staff report from city planning. Okay, if you can please introduce yourself and your address.
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Greg Betancourt, and this is, I'm the owner of this property, and I live here.
Okay, so because we have a planning report, perhaps you can give us, requesting deferral, perhaps you can give us a presentation.
Okay. Regarding the referral?
Yes, speak to the deferral first.
Yes, okay. I would like to continue with this application today. We don't know what their comments are going to be later on after the City Council's meeting regarding the laneways. So I would like to continue this application today.
So do we have any parties contesting this application? No, okay, I just have a note here. Okay, so panel members, would you like to proceed with this application?
We should hear a presentation.
Okay, so let's hear a presentation.
Okay. As I previously mentioned, I lived at this address, and I have lived on this street for about 40 years. This application is to build a second floor over an existing first floor garage using the same footprint. There are second variances from the 2 existing bylaws, and 2 of which repeat themselves. The variances we're looking for is rear yard setback, height, the 2-story building, and floor area. There are 4 existing 2-story garages on this block, 3 of which I believe they are legal non-conforming use, and 1 of them was approved and built about 2-3 years ago. And I have a city map here that shows the location of these existing garages. The four existing garages are outlined in yellow. As you can see by this sheet of paper, the proposed is outlined in black, and there's two existing garages right next door to me to the west side. And this is the same type of proposal that I'm proposing, and also it's at the same height. I would like to mention first, before I continue, that I believe in the planner's report, it mentions it is on the south side of Argyle, but actually it's on the north side of Argyle and south side of the laneway. I don't think that matters anyways, but regarding the planner's comments, under the circumstances, I agree with him in principle. However, this proposal does not create a negative impact in the neighborhood, and it is similar, as I mentioned before, to what's existing there with the same character and height. And I've talked to my neighbors on both sides, to the east and west, and they don't have any negative comments about it.
I just have a question. In terms of the properties that you highlighted on your map, how many of them are there residential units in those two-story detached garages?
No.
No?
I believe, I'm not sure, I don't think so.
And what are your plans for your garage?
Just storage,
Just storage?
household storage, yes.
Okay, so you'd be okay with a condition that includes
Yes, I
no
would.
sewage or water connection?
Yes, I would.
Okay, panel members, do you have any questions?
Yes, just one point of clarification. I believe you mentioned that of the existing properties that you've
Four,
highlighted
yes.
that have second stories,
Right.
Some were legal non-conforming and one had received an approval.
Yes.
Can you just tell us what?
Yeah, 126, the far to my left, that 126 Argyle Street was approved about 2 years ago and built.
So the ones that are neighboring your property, are they legal non-conforming?
Yes, they've been there prior to 1950. I'd just like to comment about the shade, the sun situation. If there's no shade created by this proposal, because to the west of me, there's a garage of the same height, so the roof is going to be at the same level, and to the east, there's a garage there of 13 feet in height, so the shade will be cast on top of the garage too. It's not going to be shading the backyards at all.
Okay. Panel members, do you have any other questions? No questions. Discussion?
No questions.
Variance number 4, you're seeking 104 square meters for your garage.
Right.
And what is there presently?
Presently, there's a garage on the first floor level for 2 cars.
Yeah, what is the size? What is the size?
It's the lot is 20. It's about 24 feet by 24. About.
20. Is that in meters?
In meters, that would be about 7 by 7.
So you're looking to double it?
Well, yes, because it's going to be in the same footprint.
How, based on the staff report of the laneway matter, how will that affect your garage in the near future if the city council decides that laneway shall be a legal way?
Well, I don't think it'll affect at all in terms of size and location. However, I don't see how they're going to provide servicing in terms of gas, water, and sewers into these laneways in the future, and landscaping is going to be a problem in terms of planting trees and planting in the laneways also. So I'm not concerned with that because I don't intend to ever change this into a unit. So if somebody wants to do that later on, I'm not sure what the effect is going to be.
So you're proceeding with a waiver that you're responsible for any change that happens?
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions, discussion?
First of all, I don't think deferring this would be appropriate on the basis of the report. We have an application properly submitted to us. Planning is asking us to defer on the basis of a study that may change policy at some indefinite time in the future. That's not an appropriate deferral. GFA is a concern here, but I think this is appropriate. It's not out of character. I am comfortable so long as we have the sewage and water condition.
And I would agree. Yeah, and the only thing I want to add is beyond just the two-story rear detached garages that are in the laneway, a number of the garages are quite high. They're not the typical one-story. They're the 13 feet as the applicant has highlighted. So the height is already like taller than typical in that laneway of the detached garages. Okay, do we have a motion then?
All right, I will move approval of the application subject to condition that there be no sewer or water connections to the garage.
Okay, a motion to approve, including no sewage or water connection, has been moved by Mr. Carlson. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second.
Ms. Hayes seconded. All in favor? Okay, so the application has been approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee.
Thank you. Okay, so we move forward to item number 17. 20. 645 Carlaw Avenue.
Number one?
20. Okay, so the committee has in front of us plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. We have the cover letter from the agent. We have the staff report from transportation planning. And then we have 7 form letters in support from owners and occupants on Strathcona Avenue, Carlaw, and Carlaw. Okay, if you can please introduce yourself and your address.
My name is Heather Asquith, and I'm the agent for the application at 645 Carlaw Avenue.
Okay, panel members, would you like a presentation?
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Okay, so we'll go directly into questions.
Why can't the shed comply with the setback requirement?
The way the lot is set up, so the lot is backing onto the flank side of that house at Strathcona Avenue. So it's a bit of a different condition, whereas if the lots were abutting regularly at the back, the shed wouldn't be nearly as close to the house, but in this case, it's much closer.
Floor space index, you're looking for an increase of approximately 30.30, which is almost like 50% over the required bylaw. How do you justify that?
There are precedents for similar FSIs along that stretch of Carlaw Avenue. So specifically, there's been an FSI approved of 1.175 for the adjacent house directly south at 643 Carlaw Avenue, an FSI of 1.02 approved for the 2.5-story house at 605 Carlaw Avenue, which is 1 block south. FSIs ranging from 1.29 to 1.5 for approved for semi-detached houses at 689 Carlaw, 703 Carlaw, and 683 Carlaw. And they have a couple of other examples that are across the park at Logan Avenue, but I think it's clear there are some precedents in this immediate stretch of Carlaw Avenue that have similar FSIs.
And in terms of the directly adjacent neighbors, so they both have rear additions, is that
yes,
correct?
that's right. The house to the south is actually quite large. It has a 3-story. It's a 3-story addition at the back. So that house is a whole story larger than what we're proposing at 645. It's quite a large development. And on the house to the north is a 1-story addition, and we've set, so our 2nd-story addition pulls back on that side to kind of respond a little bit better to the smaller addition on the north side.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, no questions, discussion, or a motion?
I'll move for approval of this application that we met the 4 tests, subject to the correspondence by right-of-way management.
So I believe just transportation has no objection to maintaining license front yard parking, so there's no condition.
Yeah, they've asked for that if there's any changes, you contact right-of-way management. No condition.
Okay, so Mr. Russell has moved a motion to approve this variance application. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second.
Okay, Ms. Hayes, second it. All in favor? Okay, so the application has been approved. Thank you. Okay, so we move forward with item number 28, 45 Glen Eyre Road. Okay, so the committee has in front of us plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. We have correspondence in support, no opposition from 36 Vesta Drive. We have 10 signature. 28, sorry, so we're on item number 28, 45 Glen Eyre Road. So we have support and correspondence from 36 Vesta Drive. We have 10 signature petitions support from owners on Glen Eyre Road, Burton Road, and then we have a staff report from community planning as well as urban forestry. Okay, so if you can please introduce yourself and your address. It would be better for the mic because it's being recorded. But you,
How are you?
I'm fine. Even though it's in the 21st century, the technology, I've been doing this for about 15 years and I find this is helpful.
okay, you know, maybe we can, yeah, maybe push it back and then maybe your assistant can come forward if you're pointing to anything specific.
Because I have college engineers.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so I would prefer to see your face. Just push it on forward. Yeah, push it back behind the podium.
Just so that we can see
the agent.
The agent.
Or on this, like more to the side. Yeah, the side is fine as well. Perfect.
I'll stand here.
Okay, so if you can please introduce yourself and your address.
Okay, my name is Cindy Rendley. I'm the architect representing the homeowner at 45 Glen Eyre Road. Should I proceed with the presentation, or do you have
panel members,
questions?
would you like a presentation?
Yes, please.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, the horizontal image bands represent the streetscape at 45 Glen Eyre and the surrounding context. The west side of the street includes the houses facing our property, and the east side of the street includes our new proposal rendered to scale. I just wanted to note we do have 8 variants to discuss. I have gotten it down to 1 minute per, so I'm a little bit over the 5 minutes, but that's why I wrote the script. The colored street numbers represent all properties with previously approved minor variances. The purpose of our application is to construct a new 2-story single-family dwelling with an integral garage. At this time, we would like to submit to the committee members a package of 11 support letters.
I think we got that.
Okay. So currently we have support from both adjacent neighbors.
Yes. The people mostly affected by the...
Oh, we got quite a bit.
I'm going to... Not sure, that's why I brought them, but I understand you have 11 on file, and those are 11 copies.
We have...
Okay, we'll just pass them on.
Okay, this includes letters from the neighbors located to the immediate north and south of our property. They would be impacted the most by any new construction on our site, and they support our proposal, and we are unaware of any neighbors having questions or concerns at this time. So variance number 1, the maximum permitted building height is 7.2 meters. And the proposed height is 8.59. It's important to note that only a very small portion of the building rendered in green exceeds the maximum allowable height by 54 inches. Specifically, it is the increased height of the elevator volume at the front elevation and the architectural feature wall at the rear elevation. The portion of the building rendered in pink exceeds the maximum allowable height by only 17 inches, even less than the requested 54-inch height variance rendered in green. At this time, I'd like to identify addresses for similar and approved minor variance applications for nearby properties. They include 33 and 37 Glen Eyre Road. And at 37, the approved height of the dwelling is 11 feet 8 inches higher than our proposal. And at 37, the approved height of the dwelling is 10 feet higher than our proposal. Variance number 2, the maximum permitted building length is 17 meters. The proposed building length is 20.4 meters. That is, the portion of the building footprint rendered in blue exceeds the maximum allowable length by 3.47 meters. And please note at this time the dotted yellow line outlining the footprint of the existing house. The south portion of our proposed building footprint, again rendered in blue, aligns with the rear portion of our existing building footprint and extends no further. The north portion of our building footprint, also rendered in blue, aligns with the rear portion of the neighboring property to the north and also extends no further. At this time, I would like to identify addresses for similar improved minor variance applications for nearby properties, and they include 22, 33, and 37 Glen Eyre. And to note, at 37, the approved length of the dwelling is 21 feet 9 inches longer than our proposal, and at 33, it is 9 feet 9 inches longer than our proposal. For variance 3, the permitted building depth is 19 meters. We're requesting 19.6 meters. That is, only the portion of the building rendered in orange exceeds the maximum allowable building depth by 35 inches. Specifically, it is a small extended portion of the architectural feature wall, and at this time I'd like to identify addresses for similar and approved minor variance applications for nearby properties that include 22, 33, and 37. And to note, at 37, the approved length of the dwelling is 12 feet 8 inches longer than our proposal. Number 4 regards the floor space index in GFA. Maximum allowable is 0.65 times area of the lot, and we're proposing 0.77. At this time, I would like to point out that our site slopes at the rear of the property, exposing much of the proposed basement. This is the case as well for the existing property, and this means that the proposed basement area is exposed and therefore included in the total GFA. If the site was not sloped and the proposed basement was below grade, it would not be included in the overall GFA, as per most of the properties located in the area, and we would comply, and variance 4 would be deleted. At this time, I'd like to identify addresses for similar and approved minor variance applications for nearby properties. It's an extensive list. It includes number 1, 7, 18, 20, 22, 32, 33, 37, 39, 40, and 46 Glen Eyre Road, and 300. At 300 Glen Eyre Road, the approved FSI is 0.9 times area of the lot, and the approved GFA is 1.2 times area of the lot, compared to our request of 0.77. And at 37, close neighbor, the FSI is 0.79, again compared to our 0.77. And for variance 5, according to sitting planning, the maximum allowable size for a deck is limited in size in order to minimize, 1, the possibility of viewing one's neighbor and diminishing their privacy, and 2, the possible gathering of large groups. The maximum permitted area of the platform at or above the second story is 4 square meters, and the proposed second story deck hatched in orange will have an area of 17 square meters. The deck is located adjacent to a private master bedroom. Access will be limited to a middle-aged couple occupying the suite, and the final design of the deck will include a partial wall element at the south side of the deck that will obstruct views to the neighboring property. And it's important to note that the neighbor located directly to the south of our property has provided a letter of support, and it is this neighbor that will be most affected by our application. And finally, please note that the new proposed deck, again hatched in orange, aligns with the existing rear deck currently at the existing house outlined in yellow, and it's at the same location. At this point, I would like to identify addresses for similar and approved minor variances for applications in nearby properties, specifically at 39, which is 2 houses away. The approved area of the second story deck is 20 square meters, making this deck 2.8 square meters or 30 square feet larger than our proposal. Variance 6, the minimum required front yard setback is 5.6 meters. We're proposing 4.2. We're requesting a variance of only 27 inches for a small portion of the elevator footprint that extends beyond the front yard setback. And please note in detail that the front face of our proposed building is essentially located in the same location as the front face of the existing house outlined in yellow. It aligns with the front face of the houses located to the immediate north and south of our property. Second to last one is variance 7. The minimum required side yard setback is 1.2. We're proposing 0.56 from the south lot line. Please note that the side yard setback at the southwest corner, rendered in yellow, that would be at the front southwest corner, complies, as the building footprint at this location is 1.2 meters from the south lot line as required, and is actually further away from the property line than the existing house by 13.5 inches, improving the current site condition. However, the lot is not truly square and orthogonal, as the street curves and the property lines are slightly angled. Hence, the distance between the south building face and the south property line diminishes slightly as the building footprint extends to the rear of the property. So the southeast portion of the dwelling, rendered as a pink wedge, encroaches on the south property line by a small amount of 25 inches at the furthest corner. So it's making it closer to the property line than the existing house by about 9.5 inches. The encroachment diminishes again to 0 as the building face extends towards the front of the property. So it is our belief that physically, visually, and really experientially, this change is imperceptible, the 9 inches. Finally, to note, the setback for the existing south face of the building outlined in yellow at this time does not comply. I would also like to note at 20... If you can just
wrap up.
Sorry?
If you can just wrap up.
Yeah, I'm on the last variance, actually.
Okay.
The landscape, a minimum of 75% of the required front yard is supposed to be soft. Public hearing notice states that we want 55. We've all but eliminated this variance. We've increased it to 70% already, almost meeting the 75% requirements. We're working with a landscape architect at this time. And in addition, that the current site conditions show an almost fully paved front yard area. We're adding greenscape and improving the current site conditions. And it's also important to note that the planning department has given a report. They've had one concern. They said, should the committee choose to approve the application, the planning staff recommends the following condition, and that would be the driveway to be a permeable surface. And at this time, it's their only concern, and we confirm that it will be constructed with permeable materials.
Okay, and sorry, just to clarify, so are you amending variance number 8 to 70%?
Yes.
And what is that in meters squared?
I don't have an exact meter squared yet. I mean, I only have a, sorry? Okay, can I give you that? We're having a meeting actually at 3:30 today with the landscape architect. I can do that if you want it. Okay, or unless it's approved as is, but we're increasing it more aesthetically because we want to. So maybe we'll...
Okay, we'll leave it as is for now.
Say 70%.
No, but we need
the meter square.
We need the meter square.
Oh.
Get a calculator.
Okay, can I do that when I sit down?
Yeah.
I mean, we can sit this item down.
I actually have some notes here. Total, actually I do have it.
Oh, you do have it?
Yeah. Andrea, you wrote these notes. Soft, 460. Soft. So say 40, 42 or 460 square feet, 42 square meters.
Okay.
Yeah. 42
So put 70%, 42 meters squared.
Yeah.
Okay. So amendment to variance number 8 under 569 2013, 70% for 42 meters squared, and then variance number 5 under bylaw for 3086, and the same thing, 70%, 42 meters squared. Okay. Panel members, do you have questions?
I think, Madam Chair, I think the applicant has actually answered all my questions. put me, and by adjusting that landscaping has really removed any negativity I might have to this application. I would be prepared to support the application with the staff recommendation. Oh, we don't need it anymore. Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. And there's also
payment and the urban forestry.
Okay, so no other discussion? No? Okay.
I think we should still keep the permeable as a condition because the application itself doesn't...
We're doing it anyway.
Yeah.
We're doing it permeable.
Just that's like their endeavor to do it doesn't become a requirement unless we put the condition in.
Okay, so Mr. Russell, sorry, if you can continue.
Yeah, so based on that and plus the urban forestry, keeping those planning conditions and urban forestry, I would move that it meets the 4 tests. It's not all the character of the neighborhood, and it's not in contrast to the City of Toronto zoning bylaws. So I move for approval.
Okay, so
as amended.
So a motion to approve the amended application, including planning and forestry condition, has been moved by Mr. Russell. Do we have a seconder?
I will second it.
Mr. Carlson seconded it. All in favor? Okay, so the application's been approved. Thank you. Great presentation.
Very well.
Well, thank you. So now
Very good presentation.
Now we'll move forward with the health items. So we'll take a 5-minute break. Yeah, we'll take a 5-minute break and then we'll proceed with items number 6, 67 Rose Park Drive. Items number 13, 173 Manning Avenue, and item number 14, 79 Eden Avenue. Okay. So we'll start at 11:15.
We get a 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so you know all the things that are changed at the hearing stay bold in the decision, right?
Yeah, all the changes are reflected in that.
Yes, so the decision that shows it as bold.
No, I haven't talked about that.
No, I know, but when you do, just make sure that they stay bold. So then, yeah. Okay, Control V. there's a word missing here. Will be
So before we proceed, I just wanted to know how many people are planning to speak. One or two. Okay, perfect. Yeah, because I was going to say it's important to. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. So, moving forward, item number 6. So the committee has in front of us plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. We have a staff report from Urban Forestry, and then we have numerous letters of opposition from individuals on Rose Park, Heath Avenue. We have a letter from Morse Park Resident Association, Clifton, and I believe that is it in terms of streets. And then we have 8 form letters in opposition from owners on Rose Park Drive, Clifton, Heath Avenue. And if you can please introduce yourself. And we also have a councilor's letter.
Yep.
Councilor Wong. Okay, so this is the letter from Councilor Wong. Requesting, I believe, was refusal or deferral? Refusal or deferral. Okay, so if you can please introduce yourself.
Good afternoon. My name is Simon West.
Okay.
I'm the designer and the agent representing my client, who once again is not here, which is...
Okay, if we can have your address, and then if you can please give us a 5-minute presentation of your proposal.
Okay, so the address is 67 Rose Park Drive, which is in Rosedale. We have an existing 2.5-story house within a neighborhood that is primarily 2.5, with a couple of 3 stories, but not too many. They are primarily 2.5-story houses. They're older houses. They're built in the 1920s. The house that we're renovating right now is on the corner of Rose Park Drive and Clifton Road. 2.5-story. We're proposing to remove the existing half-story, which is on top, so the 2.5-story position part. We're proposing to remove that and add another half-story up top. It'll have slightly higher pitched roof. At the end of the day, the actual maximum height, pitched height of the roof will be 12 inches or 0.3 of a meter taller than what's required in the zoning variances. I have taken note of the urban forestry comments. The new revised drawings, and this is where the problem might occur, the new revised drawings, what they do is they amend site conditions. So they're actually reducing the site conditions from here to here. The actual project itself does not change. We've had quite a good meeting with the neighbors, with Jeffrey. on May the 1st, and we talked about what we were doing as far as pulling it back. And that was all based on the letters that we received in opposition to what we were trying to do. So I reacted immediately and reduced the house. The house has been reduced in almost all of its variances, but it doesn't change the context of the house. The house is just smaller and not as tall now.
So how many variances are you changing?
Almost all of them, and in some cases I'm actually deleting some of them. And therein lies the problem.
Panel members?
Yeah, that's...
So as I highlighted in my opening remarks, we do not entertain significant alterations on the fly because of the issue of potential miscalculations and also interested parties being able to review the public notice and the site plans before they come to the hearing.
Yep.
So panel members, how would you like to proceed?
We can't make changes, and we have significant...
They're not significant, though. I will raise that one thing.
We have significant opposition here, so we'd want to know if they're prepared to deal with what we have on paper.
Madam Chair, can I speak to that?
Sure. So if you can come up to a podium, introduce yourself and your address, and
Sorry, I just want
the deferral.
I just want to add one last thing.
Sure.
The changes were basically designed to meet what the neighborhood
I
was looking for,
yeah.
and also urban forestry.
I understand that, but there's other neighbors who might not have had a chance to look at the altered drawings.
Yeah, I get that.
So, okay.
Yeah. It's Jeremy Gowan. I'm from Moore Park Residents Association, and I think I'm speaking on behalf of everybody when we definitely request a deferral. We have certainly seen some improvements in the design, but we have not had nearly enough time to assess what they all mean. There were further changes even on this weekend. And I personally, whilst I've seen the papers, I haven't had time to even look at them yet. So we just don't think it's reasonable to go ahead with this application at this stage.
Okay, okay, thank you. Panel members, questions, discussion?
I would kind of agree with the opposition that, and not only that, even with the planner himself, that we can't move ahead if he wants to make all these changes. So I would be prepared to support a deferral.
Okay.
I would agree. I think the point of clarity, not just for this panel, but clarity for those who are entitled to notice of these applications is of utmost importance, and I think if there's a variety of changes, it's important that everybody be informed and prepared to respond however they wish to, either positively or negatively, so I think it should be deferred.
So, agreeing with my colleagues, I would move deferral of the application to allow distribution of the revisions, and that is to include the recirculation fee.
Okay, so a motion to defer has been moved by Mr. Carlson, including the recirculation fees. Do we have a seconder?
Including revisions.
And the
revision. I second that.
Second? Okay, so this will give the opportunity to revise it as quickly as possible, and maybe we can bring you back on an earlier time slot.
So I have two questions right now. Recirculation fees, are they cancelled?
No, so they're as part of the, they're not much. Madam Secretary Treasurer, how much are they?
It's $2 per envelope that we mail.
Okay, and then the other thing would be, I would ask the Committee of Adjustments to look at when the first available hearing may be.
Okay, so that way you have to speak to staff. Okay, so the motion for defer has been moved by Mr. Carlson, second by Mr. Russell. All in favor? Okay, so the motion has passed, so the application has been deferred. Thank you very much for coming out. Okay, so we move forward with item number 13, 173 Manning Avenue. Okay, so the committee has in front of us plan of survey, site plans, floor plans, and elevations, and then we have a report from city planning. Okay, hello. Do we have still the interested party present?
No, I have already amended the plan according to what city planners have advised. So he had looked up the new plan and then.
Okay, sorry, just before you proceed, if you can please introduce yourself and your address.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Good morning. My name is Yu Jiahu, and I'm the agent for 173 Manning Avenue.
Okay. Okay, so if you can, so there was an interested party though, present, right?
There was one, but I have revised the plan, so
Okay.
he looked at it. I have the new plan here.
Okay, so if you can tell us what changed and if it affects any variances.
Okay. So basically, the variance there. Okay, just a second. Basically, we changed the land depth of the building according to what city planner has suggested. So we reduce it to 20 meters.
Yes.
Which variance is that? Could you pull the mic down to your face?
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're talking about variance number 1?
Yes.
So you're...
no, actually both variance number 1 and number 3.
Number 3, okay, so you're amending it to 20 meters, is that correct?
Yes.
Variance number 1 is 20 meters, Madam Chair?
Yeah, so it's 24 currently, but she's changing it to 20 meters.
I have the variance,
number
the number change on the depth. I have the exact number to.
Sorry, if you can just bring it forward, let me see.
Also changed because of.
So you're changing also the landscaping, okay.
Yeah.
So actually, so maybe I can read it instead. So variance number 1 under bylaw 560 and 2013 will change to 21.74 meters squared.
21.
Sorry, 74 meters. Variance number 2 from 39% will change to 46%. And we'll also need the meter squared for that percentage.
Okay.
And then variance number 1 under bylaw 43086 will be moved to 20 meters. I think it's calculated, it is calculated differently. Okay, and that'll be all. So what we'll need from you is we'll need the meter squared for the soft landscaping.
Okay.
I don't know if you can calculate that on the spot. Okay, panel members, do you have any questions?
Yeah, even with respect to the reduced depth, is there other examples in the neighborhood that have a depth that you're requesting?
Yes. Actually, I have the map of it here. The street for many street.
So if you can just speak up.
Yeah. They all exceed the 20 meters. So yeah, I think that our house proposes fits in the landscape of the neighborhood.
Okay. And so if you can get us the meter squared for the soft landscaping.
To calculate. It's 26.2.
Okay, so.
Oh, wait.
No, I think.
Oh, sorry. Oh, actually, no. Sorry. Wait. Sorry. It's 52.4.
Okay, so 52.4?
Yes.
Meters squared?
Meters squared. The proposed landscape, soft landscape.
Okay, so 46%, 52.4 meters squared. Okay. Panel members, do we have any other questions?
You said you had a discussion with the planner. What was their view on the 21.74? Their report says 20.
Yes, the report says 20. We wasn't trying to change at first, but then we decided to amend to 20 meters.
But you're not, okay, but under,
How did the planner feel about changing it to 21?
the planner's report says 20 meters.
Yes,
Not more than
it is
20.
20 meters.
Under the old bylaw, under the new, you said 21.74.
Oh, that's for the basement. The planner said the basement doesn't really matter. It can be more than 21, but I still reduced it. For
So the 21 is only for the basement?
Yes, that's the basement.
Is it a walkout?
No, it's not a walkout.
Maybe the foundation of the basement?
Foundation, extension under the steps. Is there any walkout there?
There's a walkout exit in the front yard, but it's a existing one.
That's what it's calculated to.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Any other questions? A motion or discussion?
Based upon the amendments, I would prefer to support the application in that the variance number 1 of the depth to 21.74 represents the basement adjustments. So beyond that, I think the application has met the protest under the Planning Act and the City of Toronto zoning bylaw.
Okay. A motion to approve has been moved by Mr. Russell. Do we have a seconder?
I just want to clarify, it's restricting the length only to the basement and 20 from the first floor on?
Yeah, number 21.74 is restricting it to the basement.
Yeah, that has to go the other way, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because of the other bylaw.
You can't build a 21
No.
for the rest of the building under the bylaw that you've got.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, so is there a condition of part of that or no? There's just
No condition.
It's like a no, okay. So motion to approve has been moved by Mr. Russell. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second.
Ed.
Okay, Mr. Carlson.
Sorry, I didn't hear you, Edmund, go ahead.
All in favor? Okay, all in favor? Yeah, so the application has been approved. Thank
Sorry,
you.
Edmund, I didn't hear you.
So we're moving forward with item, thank you. It's been approved. Sure, you can submit the new plans. It wasn't part of the condition.
Wasn't part of the presentation.
So should I not take them?
Yeah, we've already made a decision. We can have them on the record.
It's okay, you'll need them for the building permits anyways. Yeah, we didn't tie it to plans, but next time. Okay, item number 14. So 79 Eaton Avenue. So the committee has in front of us, plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. We have a list of approved variances and the 500-meter radius around the subject property that we received from the agent. We have photographs of the neighborhood from the agent. We have a staff report from City Planning, Urban Forestry, and then we have correspondence and opposition from 84 Eaton Avenue and 77 Eaton Avenue. Okay, so if you can please introduce yourself and your address.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Kemerer, K-E-M-E-R-E-R. First name is Mark, M-A-R-C. I'm here on behalf of the applicant. And as the committee will know, we were held down because there was an interested party, namely the neighbor to the north at 81 Eaton Avenue. He was concerned with potential impacts in his backyard. We had that sidebar conversation with him. He is now satisfied that he has no concerns with the proposal and wished us well. There is a neighbor who will be speaking on the other side, 77 Eaton Avenue, in opposition, I understand. And we will be addressing their submissions in reply, largely. In terms of our submissions, Madam Chair, I'll just start quickly with This shows you, my client has put up the 79 Eaton is the house in the middle there. It has an overlay with the proposed over the existing. You'll note that there is an improvement in the one side yard setback in the north. You'll see that in the variances over the existing condition, and then you'll notice that the proposed depth of the new building is only slightly longer than the existing building. It's about a 0.5 of a meter difference. I'll just ask my client now to show a photo of the current house, and then quickly a representation of what the proposed house would look like. That is the current house in the middle. You'll see it's a 2.5-story building, and the proposed house will be similar. Will be a 2 to 3-story building with the third floor partly set back. Madam Chair, members of the committee, this is an application to redevelop the site with 2 dwelling units. The building will continue to read as a single-family detached house in keeping with the neighborhood, while increasing the stock of rental housing in this neighborhood. It will have, as I mentioned, a similar depth to the existing house, and I'll note for the committee that a detached single-family home here would have a as-of-right depth of 17 meters. So we are replicating that essentially through this application. And as you'll know, under the new bylaw, 569-2013, there are only 2 variances. One is for FSI and one is for building depth. I mentioned to you that there's improved side yard setback on the north side, and you have, as you mentioned at the beginning, the comparison chart provided by my client showing Committee of Adjustment approvals in this area. And from that, you'll note that the proposed FSI, the side yard setbacks, and the proposed depth are clearly in line with recent approvals by the Committee of Adjustment. So for example, in terms of the FSI, that range is between 0.8 to 1.34. So at 0.97, we fit within that range. And I'll note too that my client did meet with community planning on this application and reduced the FSI to a number 0.97 that community planning was comfortable with. The setbacks my client is requesting are in fact less in terms of their significance than that recently approved for the neighbor at 77 Eaton Avenue. There, they had an approved addition very recently, I think in January, allowing for an intrusion of eaves to only 0.05 meters from the side yard, and a 0.158 meter setback was approved, running the length of that building. So it's certainly, the side yard setbacks are more generous in this proposal than those granted for the neighboring property at 77. In terms of the character of the area, the committee will know from the area photos provided by my client that the proposed new house will be similar in scale to the existing character of largely 2.5-story houses. It will also be similar to new construction in this neighborhood. And I'm speaking specifically of 11 Eaton, 38 Eaton, 47 Eaton, 100 Eaton, and 142 Eaton, which are all new builds in this neighborhood. So this is in line with that construction. It's in line with both the built form and the emerging built form in the neighborhood. As you mentioned, Madam Chair, there's a planning staff report dated 24th April. Planning staff, and this is the planning evidence before the committee in my submission, is that they have no objection to the variances. We are fine with the conditions they propose. There's no issue with that. We are fine with the conditions forestry is proposing. And the project, I'll note as a side, it's not related to the variances necessarily, but it is designed to achieve net zero efficiency. So it's in line with city policies on environmental gains. Madam Chair, members of the committee, the proposal meets the city's policies on neighborhood stability and compatibility, on a variety of housing forms, environmental conservation, and the protection and the encouragement of rental housing stock. And specifically, if you look at the policies, and
Sorry, you have 5 minutes, so if you can just wrap up.
Specifically, policies 3.2 in housing, which relate to stimulating and encouraging the new growth of housing, particularly in the private sector, and 4.1 neighborhoods, which is to fit in within the range of housing and to be compatible with existing built and emerging built form. So in closing, Madam Chair, the planning evidence before you is that there is no objection to the variance, that the variances, in fact, will contribute to neighborhood stability, and we're asking that those variances be approved.
Okay.
As I said, I'll speak in reply to any concerns raised by the neighbor.
Sounds good. Okay, thank you. So if we can have the neighbors, are you both planning to present? Just one. Okay. So if you can please introduce yourself and your address.
Yeah, hi, I'm Martin Skeers, Barbara Bradley. We both reside at 77 Eaton Avenue. This is on the south side of 79. A couple of things first before I begin here. If the members of the committee could give me some clarification here on the public hearing, the revised one here. It indicates...
sorry, if you can just please repeat your name for Madam Secretary Treasurer.
Martin Skeers, S-C-E-A-R-C-E.
Yeah, and you can begin, sorry.
Some clarification for the public hearing notice here was that on point 2, the city here, it indicates that the maximum permitted depth for a duplex is 14 meters. The new duplex will have a depth of 17 meters. Yeah. Then on point 4, the next page, says the maximum permitted depth of the duplex is 14 meters. The new duplex will have a depth of 17.75 meters. We don't really understand that.
So I'm not a zoning examiner, but I believe it's calculated differently. So sometimes it's calculated to the foundations of the basement, or if there are steps that are protruding beyond the house, that's what it's calculated to. But in terms of the physical structure, and the depth is also calculated from the front property line. So
okay.
It's not the length of the house, it's calculated from the property line.
Okay, so that's...
That also makes a big difference. So it's the way that they're being calculated. That said, I'm not sure if you had a chance to look at the planning report, but they specifically asked us to include a condition that keeps the maximum building length of 16.96 meters, inclusive of the balcony, and then 14 meters exclusive of the balcony. So okay. It's going to be a 14 meters length of the building exclusive of the balcony.
All right. Now, did the members receive our submission?
Sorry.
You don't mind my adding one thing, Madam Chair? I'm not sure if you're familiar with the higher level than that, but very high level of what's happening. There's 2 zoning bylaws in effect at the moment, so it's being reviewed twice. Sometimes the numbers are different.
I see, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
And the members did receive our, okay.
Yes, May 2nd.
So I'll just read this again then. Our main issue here in a nutshell is that 79 is already an encroachment as it is. It was built many, many years ago, way over the size of what it should be. And as far as we're concerned, our new owner, Felix, here is basically requesting an encroachment on an encroachment. I'm sure there's going to be some argument by Felix's lawyer here, which is the representative, that we also had some variances in place. We were just in front of the committee here not too long ago about making some improvements on our property. Now, the difference here is that we're doing ours on an existing, and we are literally bringing ours up to our adjacent neighbors south. So if we stand in our backyard, in fact, this is our house, and this is the one to the south. And they're all like this to the south. So we are literally just bringing ours up to theirs. 79, on the other hand, is way up here, like so. So we just sort of expounded a little bit on the points that were already brought up by the committee yourselves. That is that per zoning point 1, chapter 10.10.40.40 bylaw 569-1013, and point 1, section 6, sub 3, point I1, bylaw 438-86. The overall area increase is completely unacceptable. The allowable area by these 2 points is 171.72 meters square only, and the plan shows an increase of over 100 meters square. 100 meters square. This is more than the allowable, of course. So they're proposing 278.62. And the allowable is 171.72. Anyway, the density of the building is unacceptable for us as it creates a mass that is not commensurate with our property, the neighboring properties, or the neighborhood in general. This in itself will simply destroy the intricate fabric of Eaton Avenue. Now, we ourselves have, the agent here has mentioned that he has spoken to Steve at 81. I'm not sure how that went down because Felix here, which is the owner, is not going to be living in this residence. He's going to be renting it. We know Steve personally. We have been living beside him for a long time. We have also spoken to the neighbor at 83, and they have quite some concerns. For whatever reason, they didn't attend today. I cannot speak for that. Maybe they had to work. I'm not sure. So that is still ongoing because we just spoke to them just the other day. The second point here is the 14 meter shows the maximum permitted depth, of course, is 14 meters, but the plan shows a depth of 17 meters. This will simply create a solid wall along our garden. The intrusive mass of the building in our backyard is unacceptable. I also will reply to what the agent had said there, the lawyer had said regarding the property sort of in the area 38 that had gone up, and then that was a new rebuild, and he had mentioned a couple of addresses. As you could see from the pictures that they presented themselves, that is not anywhere within the immediate area. Okay, so the one's way down the one end of the street, and the other one's way at the other end of the street. And all the neighbors that live around us have lived there for decades, families, generation after generation, and nobody's changing their house within our little area there. You know, there have been some changes, but they have been to existing buildings, residences, and they are very minor. Okay, in nature. They are not tear downs and then massive conglomerate buildings going up beside us. This was proposed as a duplex, 79A and 79B. I don't know where that went, but this is going to be a rental property for clearly a duplex next door. Second point is, oh, sorry, we covered that. So within the immediate area here, of course, this is going to create an unacceptable precedent. Obviously, the breach and the magnified fact that the building is going to be way too high and too long. I mean, if it actually is the same size of the one that exists right now, we're not going to contest that. Okay.
Sir, it's 5 minutes if you can just wrap up.
Sure. Okay. So, in summary, the building depth creates long shadows that will cast over neighboring yards and deprive them of sunlight, especially in fall, winter, and spring. An increase in height will increase show depth overall. This is just in summary. An increase in density will compound the unpleasantness of congestion and lack of privacy. Creating massive vertical, horizontal duplexes will create a serious privacy invasion that will render our backyard unusable due to the overlooking problem of privacy. Felix here he wants to put a deck in the backyard, not a deck, sorry, a balcony. That's going to be looking down in our backyard. That's completely unacceptable, even for resale. You know, last thing we need is some people up there playing loud music, so on and so forth. He also wants one in the front yard. Not a problem. Have one in the front yard, enjoy the street. We don't want any balconies way up on the third floor looking down into our backyard or any other neighbor's backyard. That's completely intrusive, and obviously will devalue the resale of our house. And just one last point is, as it stands right now, from the drawings that the lawyer had presented to the committee, is the laneway between our house right now is 7 feet. Okay, so what Felix wants to do here is he wants to bring this 7 feet from the houses that are this close together to this close together. Maybe this close together, whatever the issue is. The problem with this is that the maintaining of the eaves troughs, any issues that we may have on that north wall is going to be completely inaccessible to get into that north wall. We've seen it over and over and over with neighbors in the years that have had problems, leaks, cables, Rogers, Bell, to run
Sorry, I'm
those
going to
lines.
have to ask you to.
Not a problem. I think I've said enough.
Okay, just have one question. So you mentioned, so first of all, I want to correct myself. The planning report speaks specifically to the third floor. So it's the third floor that's going to have a 14-meter length, not the first floor. And then, so you were speaking to an issue of encroachment. Are you speaking to the survey that's in the application that?
There's an existing encroachment already as it stands.
Of the existing house?
Right. That's going to be ripped
your
down,
property.
and then it's just basically going to be an encroachment on top of the encroachment of a brand-new rebuild.
Okay. So the survey that you use for your building permits doesn't reflect this survey? It's different than this survey? Like in terms of the property lines?
I haven't been able to, yes.
Okay.
So are you saying it actually encroaches on your property, or are you saying that the current side yard is already lesser than what is permitted, and this will be even less than that? I'm just trying to clarify. Do you believe that it's over your property line, encroaching on your property?
No,
or
it's
is
not
it
over the property line, and of course Felix can build whatever he likes to build on his property. However, by allowing this to go through with building the actual residence this close to this residence, if there's any maintenance that needs to be done on that side of the house, it's just not going to happen.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thanks very much.
Okay, so we have the agent respond.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you also for the clarification about the planning staff report. I just want to say I find it ironic and disappointing that someone who just recently obtained variances, particularly to obtain the smallest setback in this area, and you'll know that from the comparison chart, then comes to you to say, my client can't have a reduced side yard setback. I'll note for the committee that the length of the houses proposed and next door are actually very similar. 77 is 16.48 meters in depth. Our proposal is 17 meters in depth. They wanted a change from a 0.9 meter setback to a 0.158 meter setback. That's about 5 times different than what we're seeking. And in asking for that, they went to the committee, and I'm reading from a letter from their architect. You know, when he talks about encroachment, they justified encroachment by saying that to not encroach would be a waste of valuable land. And I'm quoting there. He calculated the difference between what was permitted and what was requested in terms of dollar amounts to $36,000.
Okay.
And he said,
let's just speak
okay,
to the
but I just find it ironic again that they come before you, they have just obtained committee approval for a large addition with a very small side yard setback. They come before you and then say, our client can't have a reduction in the side yard setback. I think, actually, Madam Chair, their main concerns are to do with a change next door, a change in the design, a change in the fact that they may have rental units beside them. But in fact, that change is anticipated and encouraged in my submission in the official plan, the city planning documents. So again, we ask that the committee be consistent in terms of the official plan, in terms of what the planning report talks about, and that this proposal, in fact, meets the intent of the zoning bylaw and the official plan and is appropriate for the development of the land.
Okay, thank you.
What about the depth? You didn't address the issue of the depth of the intrusiveness of the depth.
I'm sorry, in terms of?
The depth that he's saying is going to be a solid wall here, so going too far back.
The depth, as I explained before, is actually only 0.5 meters different than the existing depth. And in fact, his comments with respect to GFA or FSI didn't take into account the existing condition. So if you look at, my client will put up the photo that has a line and you can show that the proposed depth is actually very consistent with what you see in the neighborhood there. And it is in fact consistent with the existing condition in terms of the house that's there now. So, and as I mentioned, it will be it's the same depth permitted for a single family home, which this will read as from the street. I'm not sure if that answered the question in full, but The depth is very similar to, it's very similar to what exists in the neighborhood now, and it is very similar to what exists on the site right now.
So the privacy of the neighbors next door to you in their case would not be affected?
It will not be affected for two reasons. One, they're building a big addition on the back of their house, which will go alongside the current or the proposed house. Secondly, the one planning condition is to build on the third floor an opaque fence, which we think is fine, we agree to, and that will reduce the concerns they have with respect to anyone looking down into their backyard. And as I noted, my client met with community planning. Community planning has no objections to that, provided, of course, those conditions are met. And so that would address the privacy concern.
Okay. Any other questions?
Just, could you let the committee know of what the existence of is rear and front third-story decks in the neighborhood?
Yes, I can. We have a chart. So I'm not sure if you can see, but perhaps, Felix, you can show. It's hard to see on the map there, I think, but you'll see there are a number.
And that's the laneway.
So where's the subject property?
So you see, even right behind it, there are a number of decks on the third floor. And on the street, there are a number of decks there as well. So it's
there are rear and front decks at the third-story level?
In terms of front decks, I'm not...
There are lots of existing front decks.
Are there any other duplexes on the street?
I haven't looked into that, but it's part of the zoning. So
Madam Chair, if somebody is speaking, he should identify himself.
So, yeah, if you would like to speak, if you can come up and introduce yourself.
Okay, I'm sorry, I want some clarification with respect to the balconies, if they're front or rear. I'm sorry, I couldn't quite follow.
So if we just have the agent speak, how about that?
You want a little quickly?
If we'll have just the agent speak.
Yes, there are some front yards. There are some front decks in the neighborhood.
And rear as well?
Rear, there are a number of, all the ones you see that are circled there
Those
are rear decks, yes. So that is an existing and common condition in the neighborhood.
And they're rear second story or third story, or a combination of the two?
My understanding is third story.
But do we have a variance for the deck?
There's no variance for the decks.
That's the issue I was trying.
And again, the planning staff report suggested a condition to do with the privacy. There's no variance for the decks themselves, but we are comfortable with that condition to protect privacy.
The character of the neighborhood and impact.
Okay, any other questions? Sorry, so we're already in committee, and we're past the comments. Yeah, there's no rebuttal. Because he's the agent, he's representing the property owner. I'm sorry, this is the procedure. Okay, panel members, do you have any other questions? Okay, so we'll go into discussion. Discussion or a motion?
I think the major question here is the depth. It's just raised. There is no variance for the platforms. The planning report does include the condition. I'm comfortable with that. But honestly, I think it's only the depth that makes that related to the purpose of the application at all. Ultimately, I'm comfortable with the application. Look at the site plan. This will be deeper than the neighbors, but it does not appear to be out of place to me.
Any other comments?
I would agree. I think that the depth is not uncharacteristic of what's existing, and if it was as was submitted, if it was a single-family home, the depth requirement would be 17 meters. Having said that, it still requires a variance because it's a duplex. I think the step back in the design at the third level reduces the impact somewhat in the condition proposed by planning, although there is no variance for the decks before us, would mitigate some of the impact on neighboring properties concern.
Okay, then, any other comments or
I
motions?
just think that this application is going to come back before us again.
Again? Okay, any other comments or a motion?
I would move approval of the application, subject to the conditions in the planning report dated April 24th.
Okay, so a motion to...
And forestry
And forestry.
And, yes.
Okay, but a motion to approve has been moved by Mr. Carlson, including the 2 outline conditions, or 3 conditions. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second.
Ms. Hayes, seconded. All in favor? Okay, dissent? Mr. Russell is dissenting? Okay, so the application has been approved. Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you. Thank you for coming out. Okay, so we're adjourning for lunch.